So I just wanted to know first of all, what drew you to wanting to enter Write Up?
So I actually, it came to me in an email from the nonfiction writers group with London Library, and I was reading through, and I was looking at some of the themes, and I loved the range of themes that were listed in the contest. They were wonderful. I love a good Christmas ghost story. I think as an American, we have definitely appropriated the Scrooge story from here, but we don't have a lot of good ghost stories. So I loved that. And then I loved that there was sort of the sentimental Christmas and the comedy Christmas. And this was a piece that I had written in a bit of a fury, and was probably 10 times as long as it is currently in its current form. So I thought, thinking about this piece, it was a really good exercise in, okay, what about this piece feels the most universal to me? What do I think an audience would really appreciate? So I'm delighted whenever you have told me that you are absolutely feeling a relationship to that piece. Um, but it was just like an exciting kind of exercise in concision and trying to appeal to, yeah, the working mom who is balancing a lot around this time of year. And I was excited about the prospect of Write Up and what I'd read about it, because I before getting this email, I didn't know much about it. And I just think, I don't know, I think any group that is open to all artists, right? Sort of the open salon style is something that I'm really intrigued by. As a teacher of writing, I love having writers in the room who are at different levels, learning from one another, and I think we need a lot more of that in our adult world and in our artists' lives.
No, I completely agree. And that's something I've enjoyed as well as someone who's been writing for a long time professionally. It's been actually really energizing to connect with people at different stages of their journeys and their takes, and also to be across genre and from different types of writing, but also different types of people, because you can get quite pigeonholed, can't you, in your type of, where you are as a writer, what you write about, where you're based, all those things.
Absolutely. Yeah, very much so.
And so you've been doing the London Library Emerging Writers Programme. How has that been?
Yeah, it was sadly came to a conclusion. We're many of us still in touch, which I'm grateful for. But so I was in the 2024-25 cohort. We just published our anthology last month, actually. Um, and it was wonderful. It was, we were all emerging writers, but very much the broad spectrum of what emerging can entail. So, a great spectrum of writers, all different genres. So, I think just the collegiality was really meaningful, the access to the London Library, and just uh, uh, losing myself in the stacks, and being able to, as you know, like the home front, trying to write at home, which with small children is near impossible in stops and starts. And the luxury of being in a space where I could be, invisible in the stacks, buried in a desk was so wonderful. And then just the access that gave to publishers and to literary agents, and getting to know a little bit of that world, the what comes next world, was really, really useful, really invaluable to me.
I'm impressed because I'm a member of the London Library and I love writing there, but I find it so hard to get myself together to allow myself enough time to be there for that kind of period of time. How do you go about making that happen and organizing yourself for that?
Never enough. I think it's a constant source of guilt that I have this beautiful membership that goes
Yeah.
underutilized. I find, so I try to stack my children's activities on Saturday. And so Saturday is oftentimes a day where I can squirrel away for several hours. And then the program gave me great excuse to be out a couple nights a week as well. And so I would go, they're open late a few nights a week. And so I would go and make use of that after work sometimes. Um, my schedule also as a teacher would sometimes allow the off weekday that I could go. So yeah, never enough, but I try as much as possible to get there.
My problem is that when I'm there, I'm so happy in the stats, or I particularly like the Times reading room. I really like it in there. That I need to eat and I need to pee and I need to do all these things, and I leave it like I just get immersed. And but it is such a lovely place. It is interesting because Kate Morse, who's one of our readers, I think she came to it via the non-fiction group for London Library as well. And I think Maeve, who's one of our readers, I think she's just joined because myself and Tom Wentworth, who's another judge, we're both members of the London Library, and Tom goes to Gladstone quite regularly to write, which I'm quite envious of. Um, and I think, yeah, it's we've all been going, or maybe we should try and have a Saturday like once a month or once every other month where we all make a commitment to just go and use our membership and be there in the same space to get all the writing done, because I have the same thing. I feel guilty all the time that I seem to struggle. I mean, it takes me door to door about 20 minutes to the library.
What a dream.
Um, and it is actually en route to my child's school and back, but it's just one of the it seems like I write in my diary constantly, go spend the day in the London Library, and I really struggle to make it happen. I think that must be something that I need to try and improve in 2026 is going and being there, making more use of the membership. I have frozen a lot, eating a sandwich from Pret on the bench in St James's Square.
Well, I love the idea of a group of us keeping each other accountable, because I think I'm way more accountable to others than I am to myself. So I think it's a brilliant. We should do it.
Me too. I think if I announce it and say it's happening, then I'll have to do it. I won't have any choice. So I might just do that. Actually, I'm going to do that for 2026 and make everybody go with us.
Perfect.
And then maybe we can have a field trip to Gladstone Library, because I would love to go to Gladstone. It looked
I,
so beautiful. Have you been?
I've never been, and yes, let's do it. Let's have a field trip in 2020.
I just got because it is that thing of it when you're also obviously you're a teacher of writing as well, and I kind of it is that thing of trying to juggle, isn't it? Your own creative practice, supporting people in their practice. It's not always easy, is it?
No, it's not at all. And I think I do think one of the things, as I've written more and more, specifically essays for Substack, I think what it's done in a really positive way. The assignments I give now are assignments I myself want to write. And so they tend to be a little more elastic, a little more playful. And so I found over the years, sort of as I moved from a teacher of writing to a teacher of writing and a writer, I found it much more pleasurable, actually, to read and inspiring to read my students' writing, just because they were given, I think, more liberty to pursue their interests in their writing. So I actually feel like sometimes sitting down with a set of papers is actually a point where I can also idea generate in a really
Mhm.
wonderful way. And I think that's what I've learned is like how can I kind of multitask the writing process while I am responding to other writers as well? Because it is just so much to be a reader, a critic, and a writer. It's near impossible, I would say.
No, I mean, that's one of the reasons. So this year, you probably don't know this, but I started doing writers' circles. And one of the reasons for that was my own accountability because, I went to UEA, I did English literature and creative writing, and you do have to turn up and have written something. And I thought it'll just make me write something. But what has been amazing is actually, I think my writing has improved from the critiquing, from the reading of other people, which if you're not in a teaching or university environment, often does you do miss that once you're kind of out working and, it's a different type of thinking, isn't it?
It is, and I think sometimes it is the slog that sort of gets us to the next level of writing, right? It's the thing that we don't want to do, that we might avoid doing, that actually oftentimes helps us the most. And I agree 100%. I think reading with a critical eye has been so useful to then turn that critical eye to my writing.
Yeah. When I was at university, they used to go, English students have more fun when they read. That was Oh, but, yeah, I do think so. It's having all those things in balance, and I think that's what's lovely about the cohort, like, for us on Substack or at Write Up or, like, being at the London Library, is being in the company of other writers kind of spoils you a bit. Like, I've found I've been organising meetups now for over a year, and I feel like it's spoiled me for, other events because I just sit there going, "Oh, I don't really care." I don't particularly with the mum chat, with all the PTA mum chat, I find myself going, "God, I'm so bored. Can we not be talking about, like, books or things like that?" It's ruined me forever.
I think it's a good sign you found your place. You found your call entirely.
Yeah, but everyone's like, "Oh, you should write about that on your Substack," and I'm just like, "No, I can't write about that." I cannot write about the drama, the school gates and the PTA. I mean, Motherland is like a documentary. I live in East London. Like, it's not that
Yes.
far away. So for you, thinking about your lovely piece, Mother Christmas, I was thinking about all the moments you'll have to leave pauses for the resonance and the laughter as the women in the room, and it will be predominantly women, recognise themselves in the people that we become sometimes at this time of year. We're holding a lot, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we really are. I've been practicing reading with a colleague of mine who's a dramatic literature teacher, and she's been
Oh,
really helpful in sort of naming where those pauses are. But I think it's one of we've come so far in so many ways in terms of domestic work balance. Not all of us, but I think a lot of us feel much more balanced than our mothers did. I know I do. And it's always a little alarming to me this time of year around the holidays to suddenly I feel like I'm able to sort of really channel my mother in these moments and really understand her frustration at times and why she was sometimes upstairs in her bedroom throwing shoes at the closet wall, right? And just the amount expected, the amount that we're holding, the amount that nobody necessarily knows we're holding either because we're not really paying attention. We're the only ones. So it is just, it's such a balancing act. I do feel like we all need, 6 or 8 arms in this period of time.
yeah, and also you need to be magical with time as well because you're having to do all the things, make it
Mhm.
all happen, make it all feel wonderful and jolly when you feel like you're going absolutely crazy. And you are expected to rock up at children's schools like literally every day for something, which is beautiful and you want to enjoy. But at the same time, you're thinking about all the things that you've got to do. And it just feels like there is not enough time. It's just insane. And I don't know, I think there was a lot more pressure as well. Like obviously, like one of the lovely things about relationships now is that marriages or partnerships tend to be more teamwork, like both people doing both things. But there is something about Christmas where it does seem to land more on mums.
Yes. Yeah. I've talked to many, many women, and I have yet to find a woman who feels that there is an equal balance at this time of year.
Yeah. The lists are insane of the
But
things that you
yeah.
have to do because you don't want to mess up your child's Christmas.
Right. I think so much of it is really beautiful because it comes from this place of deep empathy and maternal care, right? Where you want to create this magic. You want to make sure that they're feeling that magic. But i- uh, in order to do so, there is this just breathless marathon of it that you're undergoing every day, as you said, every morning at the gates and every evening moving the elf or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was thinking about in the mirroring, when you're trying to create a piece, there's so much construction and depth and feeling of I don't know, despair and feeling quite lost to create this beautiful transformation of something that looks all polished and perfect and wonderful. But there's so much that will have gone on in creating a good piece of writing, just like creating a good Christmas. It's a really interesting mirror, actually, for us as writers and mothers, I think.
I appreciate you saying that. I like that mirror. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I do think writing that you want to read looks seamless, and it looks almost like it took no effort. But of course, under the duck pond, the legs are beating furiously, and we're working so hard to create what comes off as momentary.
And you're working on a memoir at the moment, I believe, are you?
Yeah, I am. So I am, I think I found sort of post COVID, I started to find real relief in the pre-World War One and interbellum writing of E.M. Forster. And just found that he was very much speaking to a lot of the issues that we're currently experiencing, but without the jargon of today. And there was some relief in it. Like I could look at it head on in a way that I found myself not looking head on in the news. And so just became really enchanted with his writing. And I teach Howard's End, and I have a deep and abiding friendship that reminds me very much of two of his characters. And so I've written a lot about that friendship and the romance of that friendship. Um, and yeah, it was sort of journal writing that I think became more and more shaped, and I realized, oh, I think I have something here. There's something that I want to be exploring in the way of friendship and imagination and migration, that have a lot to do with this book. And I think I owe a lot of credit to this book. So it's sort of a love letter to this friend, as well as I think to E.M. Forster in a way.
And is that particularly on Howard's End, or are you looking at other texts as well?
Yeah, I've been looking at his letters, and I've been looking at he has this wonderful commonplace book where he's gathered these quotations over many years that he inherited from I think a minister in his family. So I've been sort of gleaning from other writings, but I've really been very much focused on the characters and the themes of Howard's End as I've been writing.
That's amazing. That's quite interesting that our president is Helena Bonham Carter at the London Library as well.
I know it's sort of delightful. I haven't, I've seen her out and about in Hampstead, but I have never had the privilege of meeting her. But
No, I dream of being on the tier that gets me to the president's party at the London Library. I did go to the quiz though last year, and I was on the winning team, which was hilarious. Yeah, it was terrifying.
I I think that should win you a place at the president's Christmas
I
fest.
think so. I got a coffee cup, like a reusable coffee cup, a bag, and I think 2 tickets to one of their events, like, which I was, like, happy with. But, but yeah, I would love to go to the president's party. I get so much FOMO when they post the, pictures on Instagram afterwards. But I think also that feeling was probably also one of the reasons I created Write Up, not so much because of the London Library, but because I'm published by HarperCollins, and they have a big summer party at the V&A every summer. And I always used to talk to friends who are writers who were like, I don't get to go to anything like that. And I was like, well, we could make our own, you know what I mean? We could make our own event where we get together and celebrate each other. But it's also a platform so different people can come through and they get paid for doing it. For me, it was kind of like a win-win-win in kind of thinking about all those feelings that you often have as a writer when you're working in isolation and you don't feel connected or part of something. Have you ever felt like that at times?
Absolutely. I mean, I think writing at its core, I think idea generation and the aftermath of writing need not be lonely, but I think at its core, there's such a loneliness to it. And I think writers Most writers I know tend to be introspective, tend to, in that introspection, recognize all of their insecurities and feel deeply. And I think that's very easy to compare and to feel on the outs looking in, right? I think the necessity to that as a writer, that you are someone who is an observer, but I also think that, yeah, that we sometimes find ourselves we're our harshest critics, and so I love this notion of inclusivity. You are a Forster of your generation.
Oh,
um,
thank you. Do I get to go to Italy? That would be really good.
I that's the next trip, yes, after you go to the Christmas party, the president's Christmas party. um, but I think I think this idea of sort of recognizing where there could be more inclusivity and where there could be, more room at the table is essential, and it's the best work. So I, yeah,
And actually, funny enough, at Write Up, it'd be your first time, but with the audience, we all sit at tables rather than in rows. One of the reasons I did that is because even though I like being in an audience, I'm going to see a play tonight with my daughter. But it's actually her birthday present, which is in June. But she asked for it to be to see A Christmas Carol Goes Wrong. She loves all those kind of crazy farce plays. But you can go to an event, like even a literary event with one of your favorite authors and speak to no one. If you go on your own, you can be sitting next to people, you could be in the audience, you can be part of thousands of people, but not speak to anybody, which sometimes, is nice. But I thought with this, it's really nice. I think if you are more introverted and you want to be quiet, you can really take your time in the space. But we all sit at kind of tables of about 6 to 8. So you will naturally be able to gently talk to people if you want to talk to people. And as so many writers are, introverts and they find that tricky, I really wanted to think about how to kind of bring up that level of belonging and comfort, because it is awful when you land at a party, publishing party or writer's party or whatever type of party, and you feel like everybody already knows each other and you don't know anybody. And what's nice is it's something that you can kind of come to on your own, or you could come with in a group. But I wanted it to feel like everybody really had a seat at the table and they'd be welcome.
I think that's beautiful. It's the wedding planner savvy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a perfect number. 6 to 8, all seated around the.
I did that at my wedding. It was I put a lot of thought into my wedding cake, but I was really interested in the quote that you gave me. Can I just read it?
Yeah,
Um, so you said, I've been thinking a lot about hospitality recently and how the very nature of opening a door to another person can shift my perspective, my expectations. Write Up London, its invitation to people at all points in their writing careers, is a form of generous hospitality, a welcome to share in the word and the world, which I thought was such a beautiful quote. And is that influenced by the thinking that you're doing at the moment for your memoir and those spaces and those journeys?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, one of the delights for me in this friendship that I'm writing about, and in Forrester, as I've named, is a sense of openness. I think I am one of those. I'm one of those people who rocks up to the party and feels totally overwhelmed and introverted and, on the outs. So I really appreciate that picture that you drew, and I think to learn from a good friend who has an openness to the world is just a really marvelous thing. And I think there are people that are just innately hospitable. And I don't think we all are innately, but I think we can link ourselves to those people and we can learn how to be more so of that. Um, so I think that's a piece of it. I also think, the getting back to kind of the maternal piece of it. We hear a lot about 21st century skills and what our children need and what our students need, for later in the century. But I think probably one of the most important values that we can have, given migration shifting, given, environmental catastrophe, is being hospitable, right? Like opening our doors, opening our hearts, being open to different ideas and different experiences. And so I do feel like hospitality is something that, um, I don't know. I grew up in a house that was filled with hospitality. Thank you to my mother mainly. She loved to cook and she loved to host. And um, my life is busy and I'm not entertaining as much as she is. But I want my children to experience what it is to open our doors. If you're coming to London, I have a very small room with one bed, my extension wardrobe, and an office desk, but it is always open. And I think it's important for our kids to see that we, even with inconvenience, that we're willing to open the door.
I think that's lovely because it's reciprocity, you know,
Hmm.
and that's such a key. My mum used to say that to me. My mum was a wonderful hostess. She was like the hostess with the mostess. Like it's funny. We're just having. I made some soup a few days ago, but I said to my husband, "Oh, do you want me to quickly make some scones?" And I just literally quickly made some scones and whacked them in the oven while the kettle was on. But it was because cheese scones. That's because that's the sort of thing my mum could do, and my repertoire is not as extensive as hers. Like, you could literally phone her up and ask her how to do virtually anything. My friends used to call her the human Wikipedia. Like, she would just tell you over the phone, or you'd like text her and be like, "How do I do this?" And she could tell you. But we definitely had a home for waifs and strays, and people were always welcome and made welcome. And I think even though now live in London and West London, love West London. I think that part has carried through that idea of wanting people to be let in because one, it's just nice. It makes life more enjoyable. It's more fun, but it's not nice to be on the outside. And it's been interesting in the conversations I've been having. I've been talking a lot to the funders for Write Up. And, like one of the conversations that we've been having with the funding bodies is going, actually, if more people were able to share their stories, if they were let in, if we understood each other more, then there's less issues, and I think, at its most joyful, it's fun and it's community, but it's also, to me, a very political act as well, in saying that, stories matter, people matter, paying people to tell their stories matter, but also like it's getting the variety, because otherwise what we get is a very narrow view to what we get exposed to, what we choose to, what's presented to us at school, what we naturally gravitate towards. And it is through those critiques and opening things that you wouldn't necessarily pick up and open that I think really helps it expand and understand other people.
I think that's right. I mean, I think it is the reciprocal generosity, isn't it? It's always going to give back.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful that you joined me for this half an hour. I know you're busy, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your piece on Saturday. I've got to work on the running order. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to put you on last, actually, if you're okay with that.
Take care the entire time, no problem.
I think I'm going to put Maeve on first and you on last. And you're kind of. Oh, it's also really hard for you, like, because you haven't seen everybody else's pieces, so you don't
I
know.
well, I'm so excited to meet the other writers, and
Yes, and they are all excited. I think think the writers are getting really excited about meeting each other. And I know from previous write up, that was one of the lovely things that they all kind of then formed that bond of doing that thing together. Is really nice. And they've gone on and worked with each other on different things and stuff like that as well. So that's been super lovely. But yes, I will see you on Saturday. Keep practicing. I think we haven't practiced. I think we've got a Zoom call for like a read through, haven't we? Later on in the week. But I'm looking forward to hearing it as well, because obviously for me, what will be lovely is hearing it in your voice with your accent and your rhythm and all those things. It's going to be, so exciting. So I will speak to you in a couple of days and I will see you on Saturday, Lisa. Thank you so
that's
much.
cute.
And people can still get tickets on Eventbrite if you want to join us for Write Up. It's this Saturday, 13th of December at 6:30 in West London. Have a super lovely afternoon. Bye.
Bye.